Do pilots sleep when flying the plane? You're about to find out something that might surprise you, or maybe even terrify you. Imagine you're cruising at 35,000 feet, halfway across the Atlantic, and get this, the pilot flying your plane might be catching some Z's. Yes, you heard that right. But don't worry, it's not as wild as it sounds. The short answer? Yes, pilots are allowed to sleep in flight. In fact, it's a necessary part of long-haul flights. But don't go picturing both pilots snoring away while the autopilot has a field day. There are some seriously strict rules in place to ensure that at least one pilot is awake and ready for action at all times. Still curious? Well, keep watching, because what's coming next might just make your jaw drop. First off, there are two types of in-flight rest for pilots: controlled rest and bunk rest. Controlled rest means the pilot sleeps right there in the cockpit, at the controls, like a high-altitude power nap. But there's always one pilot wide awake. Then there's bunk rest, where pilots actually leave the cockpit and head to a hidden area of the plane, complete with bunk beds. That's right, while you're watching a movie in your cramped economy seat, the pilots could be dozing off in their own private nap zone. Jealous yet? This whole napping situation might seem a bit sketchy at first, but trust me, it's done for a very good reason. Resting during low-stress parts of the flight ensures that pilots are sharp and ready to handle the most critical parts, like landing. Because let's face it, you don't want a sleepy pilot trying to bring your plane down smoothly. On long-haul flights, especially those operating overnight, pilots work in shifts. Some planes even have 3 or 4 pilots on board, rotating duties, so everyone gets a chance to rest. The same 2 pilots take off and land the plane, while the others take turns sleeping in what's called the bunk. But don't go imagining a luxury hotel. These bunks are tucked away from the passenger's view, small but comfortable enough for a quick recharge. And then there's controlled rest, the cockpit catnap. One pilot grabs a quick 10 to 20 minute snooze while the other handles the controls. They even plan out their nap times in advance, and cabin crew is in the loop to prevent any both pilots asleep disasters. Fun fact, if the resting pilot sleeps too long, they can wake up feeling groggy, a phenomenon known as sleep inertia. Ever woken up from a nap feeling like you've been hit by a bus? Yep, same thing. But don't get too relaxed. Controlled rest also has some cool safety features. If the non-resting pilot doesn't touch any buttons for a while, a warning sounds, ensuring that no one gets too cozy in that cockpit. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine 2 pilots operating a night flight from Manchester to Tenerife. They've got a long shift ahead, flying through the night, landing in the early hours, and then turning right back around for the return flight. After all that, they still have to drive home. Now, what's safer? Banning naps and having tired pilots, or allowing them a quick 30-minute nap to stay sharp for the critical moments? Exactly. So the next time you're on a long flight and wonder if the pilots are awake, well, they probably are. But if they're not, there's a good chance they're taking a brief, well-monitored nap to make sure you get to your destination safely. Pretty shocking, right?